early on, he was persuading me to leave school. Now, I hadn't even sat my O-levels. It was O-levels in my day. So I was due to sit my O-levels in June the following year, and by the January, I'd left school. I didn't see all these little signs of controlling behaviour. So all these wee things happen. So the next thing, so I'm engaged on my 16th birthday. Oh my God, man. And then I'm married a year and a bit later. And even in that time, there was little things happening. But, you know, I just thought, I never really thought anything of it. I didn't see the red flags. Anyway, so I got married and I continued to work. I don't really remember much in the way of abuse. There's a few arguments and things, but not really in a total abusive way in those first 4 years. And then I became pregnant with my first child 4 years after I was married. And but actually thinking about it then, when I was pregnant, he kicked me in the stomach once. And was it a kick or was it a punch? Can't quite remember. I just know he did it. Anyway, whatever. So, and I was like...
Was that like the first, can you remember, was that like the first time, or had there been any sort of physical violent abuse before then?
His abuse was mostly psychological and emotional abuse.
Yeah.
So putting me down, but then tell me he needs me and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was constant put downs, constant telling me I was stupid, constant all that stuff. So I kind of, half of me believed it and half of me didn't. You know, and when I go back to being a young mum, so if you're a young mum, I had 2 children within 16 months. So one was a year and 4 months when the other one was born. So still a baby, really, you know. But, and I remember, you know, as they were growing up, so kids get their toys out and they play. And it used to be my ex-husband would moan if he came in and the place had toys about, you know. So it got to a stage where my kids, like half an hour before I knew he was coming home, right, we need to get the place tied up, let's get it all away. And so that when he came into this like palace kind of idea, you know, nothing out of place. But there was loads of things beginning to happen. And as I say, mainly on the psychological aspect more than the physical in the beginning. But the physical kind of came into it, you know, with physical abuse. I don't even, all sorts of things, you know, involving stairs, involving a bath, involving drugs, like prescription drugs or even paracetamol and stuff like that. Physical, like fistcuff, broken nose. He did not take any responsibility for anything he'd done. It was narcissistic behavior. It was all, she did this, she did that, she did this, you know. So for example, when he's on top of me, I might have got my legs up to kick him off me, and he would go about saying, she's abusing me, she kicked me. But it really came to a massive head when I decided, when my youngest was old enough to go to primary school, that I wanted to do something for Brenda. But anyway, so once I started going to uni, oh my God, the jealousy, and there's loads of stories I've not told you yet, but the jealousy was like that. It was so unleashed, so much so that everything was timed that I was doing. I was having an affair with every single person on the planet. Do you know what I mean? All the tutors, and I was, and
so he was afraid of losing you, wasn't he? That's what it is?
My power.
Yeah,
He's being powerful.
So that he didn't have control over you, did he? When you started going to university, there was no way of him knowing who. And I think when you're in a relationship that's not good from their part, they know that, so they've lost control. They've got to have you all the time, really, so that, because they know that if you start seeing new things, and chances are you're going to leave.
That even though you're in an abusive relationship and it's not good for you, what is outside of that relationship is the unknown and uncertainty. And as human beings, we like certainty. we like to know, that becomes our comfort zone, even though we don't want it, even although we know it's not good for us, even although we take beatings, abuse on all levels, we stay there because it's what we know. Because what is outside of that, and particularly if you're a woman that's not financially independent,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking, where can I go with 4 kids? What can I do? Who's going to look at me again? That's it, I'm on the scrap heap. No other man's going to look at me. Why I even thought like that, I don't know, but I did, you know, because that's all I knew, didn't I? That was the era I grew up in. You needed a man. Yeah, so this comfort zone thing is what, it's like a magnet. It's like you've got a ball and chain, and even although you need to get out, the fear, you every breath, every day is a fear. So I get solace when he went to work, but as soon as I know it was time to come home, I would start, you know, it would be a nightmare, and things like that. But then going to uni was escapism. So between thinking you're a savior and you can help this man and you can change him, if only, mañana, and I don't know any different. And outside is scary, because where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get a house? How am I going to do this? There's 1,000,001 questions come.
But it seems as though, because you just said, oh, when I tried to leave, almost as if you were, and I know, because I've been there. So many times you go back, you try to leave. And I wonder whether, you know, we make excuses at the time as to why we need to go back.
You do,
you know,
absolutely.
We make
because we're going back to that comfort zone, because it's like scary. The other thing, the other side of the coin. So I've told you it's about being in your comfort zone, but the other side of the coin is the sense of failure and abandonment and letting down and shame and all that, even although you've done nothing but try and save your skin and try and create a better life, because that life's no good. There's all of those very low base negative emotions that's entrapping you. Yeah. It was the arguments, it was just horrendous, and I was just like miserable, and oh my God. But anyway, so this day it came home early from work, and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, and I was like, but this time I'm like, oh my God, he's back home. I've got to put up with him again. Oh, you know, because I knew it was coming. There was a pattern. So as I told you earlier, when he went to work, I could breathe. But the minute I knew he was coming home, so this day he came home early. So of course he was going on about me being away, and all these affairs I was having, and also, you know, the usual sort of stuff, you know, and he kind of went for me, and you know, it was like lying down half on a couch, and I was trying to get him off, couldn't breathe, and fortunately, because I was very agile and very skinny in those days, I managed to get my leg up in between us and actually kick him off, and I ran out the door and I never went back. So somehow I must have got to my friend, I must have got a phone call, or at the school gate or something like that. Yeah, I went to the school gate and got the kids, and we went back to my friend's house. And luckily enough, we did this a lot, but I had no bag, I had nothing, I had only what I was wearing. I had nothing, I had no money, I had nothing. But he just made me feel so bad that I was taking his kids away. I says, you need to leave the house and let me and the kids come back to our home. He would not leave the house and let his children live in their own house. I was so out of my depth with trying to be Superwoman and pretend that life was normal.
Yeah.
You know? And my daughter left and went and lived with her father. Can you imagine? That still haunts me a bit, actually. She left me to go and live with her father. Now, I want to be a teacher since I was a 6-year-old, and yet I left teaching to work mainly with women, although I work with men as well, but mainly with women, to show women that they can have their brilliance revealed. We are brilliant human beings. We are genius. We are gifted. We are just absolute pure love, joy, light, ecstasy. And yet we don't live in that. So I'm getting emotional now because that is my purpose. Not to have this happen to other people, and to show that you can do whatever you want. That's the I Can Revolution. But you have to connect with your heart and your soul. We live in a world that comes from here in our head and thought. No, think with your heart and feel with your soul. Let that be the brain that guides you on your path and your light, that tells you you're worthy of more than this.